4 news stories from Ethiopia viewers. Firstly, in an interesting development, we are hearing some reports that some Amhara activists are supporting Tigrayans, especially Tigrayan diaspora. We know that Amhara and Tigray are arch rivals in the ongoing Tigray conflict. Why is that some Amhara activists are supporting Tigrayans? Secondly, viewers, Tigray External Affairs Bureau just an hour ago released a statement. The statement is about establishment of a 3-member inquiry commission announced by UN Human Rights Council. Thirdly, 2 Ethiopian ladies were invited by UK's parliament. The 2 ladies spoke in UK parliament. Who are the 2 ladies? What did they say there? And lastly, 16 Ethiopian journalists have written a letter to Ethiopian government, an open letter. What is this letter about? Firstly, viewers, we know that Tigray and Amhara regions, Tigrayans and Amharas, they are arch rivals in the ongoing Tigray conflict, which mainly started in November 2020, though Tigray Amhara conflict is very old, but recent escalation started in November 2020 when Ethiopian National Defense Force, supported by Amhara Regional Forces, Eritrean forces, launched a military offensive on Tigray. Then we saw that in June 2021, Tigray forces launched a military offensive on Amhara and Afar region. Amhara diaspora played a key role in supporting Ethiopian government, but it was under pressure. US was threatening sanctions against Ethiopian government. EU was threatening sanctions. Back then, Ethiopian diaspora, which mainly consisted of Amhara diaspora, played a key role. This diaspora started No More movement. The movement turned tables a little, and they held several large protests in the US, in the UK, and this No More movement succeeded in putting some pressure upon US lawmakers. The diaspora financially contributed to rehabilitation work in Amhara, and it is said that this diaspora financially backed the war in Ethiopia. Now, some members of this Amhara diaspora are supporting Tigrayans. Why is that? Why are they supporting Tigrayans? Tigrayans are conducting some activities, some rallies in the US. They want HR 6600 bill to be tabled and to be passed at US House of Representatives. The bill calls for very strict sanctions against Ethiopian government. If this bill is passed at the US House, it could lead to serious sanctions on Ethiopian government. Financial assistance to Ethiopia will be stopped. Ethiopia will not be able to secure any loans from financial institutions. Diaspora will not be able to fund any projects in Ethiopia. The country is arming Ethiopian government, they will put under sanctions. So this bill, if it is passed, it could lead to serious pressure upon Ethiopian government. While Tigrayans are taking out rallies, they are meeting US lawmakers, and they want this bill to be tabled and passed. Some Amhara activists are reportedly supporting Tigrayans. Why? Because they are frustrated with Ethiopian government. They think that Ethiopian government is weakening Amhara region, it's weakening Amhara regional force, it's weakening Amhara Fano militia, which they say played a key role in pushing Tigray forces out of Amhara. We are seeing friction between Ethiopian federal government and Amhara Fano. I reported in previous videos some armed confrontations. Yesterday, a coordinator of Amhara Fano was killed in a shootout with security forces in East Gojam. Secondly, some TPLF leaders have been released, like Sabat Naga. The move was rejected by Amhara diaspora. Then we are hearing that indirect talks are underway, which are also being rejected by some sections in Amhara region. So, Amhara activists are not happy with Ethiopian government. They think, some activists, that Ethiopian government is led by Oromos, and Amhara region, Amhara forces, Amhara people, they are the victims. They are becoming weak because of actions of Ethiopian government. That is why some Amhara activists, they are supporting Tigrayans. They want this bill to be passed in order to put pressure upon Ethiopian government. Perhaps that's why we have not seen any large rallies against this bill in the US. Tomorrow there is going to be a rally in New Jersey by some Ethiopian, Eritrean diaspora organizations. I'll update you tomorrow about that. But it seems that some Amhara activists, not all of them, some Amhara activists, they're not happy with PM Abiy's government. That is why they want this bill to be passed to put pressure upon PM Abiy's government. No names. I'm not sharing any names with you, though we have some names. Second, viewers, Tigray External Affairs Bureau released a statement just a short while ago. The statement is about the formation of a 3-member inquiry commission. The commission has been announced by Human Rights Council. The commission has been mandated to investigate human rights abuses committed since the start of Tigray conflict in November 2020. Tigray government is welcoming the formation of this commission. Tigray government says it has formed a task force to coordinate with this commission. It is ready for the work of this commission. What remains to be seen is Ethiopian government's response to this commission. So far, I have not seen any official statement from Ethiopian government about this commission. The commission was formed, I think, 4 to 5 days ago, but we haven't seen any statement from Ethiopian government so far. Will the government give access to this commission to visit Ethiopia or not? That remains to be seen. Tigray says it's ready. Tigray further says that if Ethiopian government does not cooperate with this commission, the international community must play its role in putting pressure upon Ethiopian government for lifting of siege which Tigray is under. Let's see. Waiting for Ethiopian government's response to this commission. Thirdly, viewers, 2 Ethiopian ladies were invited by UK Parliament, where an event was held in connection with International Women's Day, 8th of March. And 2 Ethiopian ladies delivered speeches there. Lucy Kasa, a journalist, and Filson of the Somali politicians were there. Lucy Kasa has done several investigative stories, mostly about Tigray. She has done stories claiming that women of Tigray, they have been victims of rape by Eritrean forces and some sections of Ethiopian forces as well. She hasn't done any story from Afar or Amhara regions. We have seen human rights abuses in Afar and Amhara as well. Lucy Kasa has been forced into exile. She came under pressure in Ethiopia. her flat was raided, and reportedly she was not allowed to work in Ethiopia. She was seen as pro-Tigray journalist. She's a Tigrayan, I think. So she is now in exile, and there in UK Parliament, she spoke on how she had been forced into exile. Secondly, second lady is Somali politician Filson Abdi, a former minister of PM Abiy's government who resigned last year. She has also worked on rape incidents which happened in Tigray, and she's been saying that Ethiopian government did not allow her to work freely. She was compiling a report about human rights abuses, sexual abuse committed in Tigray, but the report was stopped by Ethiopian government. She also spoke there. She has appeared on several international news channels, and she is very staunch critic of PM Abiy's government. She accuses PM Abiy of weakening Ethiopian government, Ethiopia as a whole. She says that Tigrayans are being targeted by PM Abiy. PM Abiy is endangering Ethiopian unity, Ethiopian survival. Two ladies delivered speeches there. Lastly, 16 Ethiopian journalists have written a letter, an open letter to Ethiopian government. The journalists are demanding the release of their colleagues. They say that Ethiopia is turning into a difficult country to work for journalists. Journalists have been arrested. Some are still in detention, in prison. Some have been released as well. But the government is trying some journalists on terrorism charges, which is alarming. We know that Amhara-Tigray is facing terrorism charges. Amir, Aman, AP journalist, and cameraman Thomas Ndiga both are facing terrorism charges. Though they are journalists, they did the job, but they are facing these terrorism charges. That is what 16 journalists spoke. They say that these journalists must be released. The 16 journalists are prominent journalists of different Ethiopian news outlets. They've been working in this field for years, and they say the Ethiopian government must create a favorable atmosphere for journalists. Journalists are under pressure in Ethiopia. We know that 2 journalists have been killed since the start of Tigray conflict. Daoud Kabede was killed in January 2021. Sisse Feda was killed in May 2021. So they are being killed, they are being imprisoned, they are being threatened. That is what these 16 journalists talked about, that Ethiopian government must release the imprisoned journalists like Amir Aman, Amhara-Tigray, and Thomas Ndiga. Thank you for watching.